The story opens with a young adventurer named Orun, who suddenly finds himself completely alone inside a dangerous dungeon. Before he can even process the situation, a group of demonic rabbits jumps out from behind and launches a surprise attack on him. Instead of panicking, Orun grips his sword and charges forward. With precise movements and sharp instincts, he cuts them down one by one. As the dust settles, he thinks to himself that maybe he still has what it takes. Maybe he can still become a true swordsman. But the danger isn't over yet. Moments later, several goblin monsters appear behind him, clearly ready to kill. This time, Orun decides not to rely only on his sword. He tells himself that instead of pure swordsmanship, he will use support magic. Orun is actually an enchanter. A green aura begins to surround his body as he activates his magic, and his power fully awakens. He prepares himself to face the monsters head-on. In this world, support magic is extremely rare because it can drastically enhance physical abilities, turning an ordinary human into a powerful warrior. Using support magic on himself, Orun rushes toward the goblins and defeats them one after another with overwhelming force. However, support magic has a serious limitation. It can only be maintained for 3 minutes at a time. Because of this drawback, Orun is forced to repeatedly restore his mana whenever he uses it. Even so, he presses forward again, attacking the goblins without hesitation. Orun is a unique existence. He possesses swordsmanship skills, but at the same time, he also has the talent of an enchanter. And yet, despite having all these abilities, he was still expelled from his own party. The story then shifts to the past. We see Orun standing in front of his party leader, Oliver. Oliver coldly tells him that the group has decided to remove him from the team. Orun is shocked and asks why this is happening. He can't understand it at all. Oliver was his childhood friend, and they had built this party together from the very beginning. But Oliver's close friends, Alan and Derek, clearly never liked Orun. They start criticizing him, saying his magic is weak and useless. Oliver then speaks again, trying to sound sympathetic. He tells Orun that he gave him many chances because they were friends, but Orun failed to meet expectations. That's why the decision had already been made. Orun can't process what's happening. These were the people he trusted the most. He dedicated 8 years of his life to this party, and now they're throwing him away. This party had once cleared the 94th floor of the southern dungeon, a floor known for being incredibly dangerous. After that achievement, they became famous as the Heroes Party. Orun gave everything he had to support them, his magic, his strength, his loyalty. And now they were discarding him like he meant nothing. Derek openly mocks him, saying that Orun has no real power. He compares him to other enchanters they met during recent raids, claiming those enchanters were far superior. Orun finally speaks up, confused and hurt. He reminds them that he is actually a swordsman who willingly took on the role of an enchanter for the sake of the team. But Derek shuts him down, saying Oliver is a better swordsman anyway, which is why Orun was forced into that role. At that moment, Orun realizes arguing is pointless. They already found his replacement. When he hears this, his eyes widen in disbelief. His own childhood friends had betrayed him. With nothing left but his dignity, Orun leaves. As he walks away, Alan mocks him, calling him a jack of all trades, someone who is good at nothing. So the story then returns to the present. Orun finishes off the remaining goblins and clenches his fist. He vows to become far stronger, someone who masters both swordsmanship and support magic, becoming the most powerful swordsman enchanter this world has ever seen. With his task complete, Orun heads toward a magical crystal deeper in the dungeon. Suddenly, a frightened group of adventurers comes running toward him in panic. They look traumatized and terrified. Orun initially ignores them, but then he overhears their conversation. One of them says they barely escaped from an orc monster. Another nervously asks what will happen to the girl they abandoned behind. Someone immediately tells him to stay quiet and make sure no one finds out. Hearing this, Orun suddenly stops. Anger fills him. These people betrayed their own teammate, just like what happened to him in the past. Unable to control himself, Orun approaches them and confronts them directly, saying he despises people like them. The adventurers try to justify themselves, claiming they had no choice and did nothing wrong. Their leader, however, loses his temper and attacks Orun. Orun easily blocks the attack and throws the leader aside like he's nothing. He demands to know where they left the girl. The scene then shifts to the dungeon, where we see the abandoned girl alone and trembling. She hides along the walls and uses barrier magic to protect herself from the approaching orc monsters. The orcs begin attacking the barrier, and eventually, it shatters completely. In despair, she thinks this is the end. But suddenly, a strong gust of wind blows through the dungeon. Oren appears. Without wasting a second, he activates his support magic and swordsmanship together, cutting down the orcs with incredible speed. The girl watches in shock. She has never seen someone who can use both sword skills and support magic at the same time, a combination that is unbelievably rare. Oren pushes forward and finishes off the orcs with his enchanted sword. He then turns to the girl and asks if she's hurt. She replies that she's okay. They eventually make it out of the dungeon safely. Oren begins walking away on his own path, but the girl suddenly stops him. Her name is Sophia. She shyly asks him to wait. Oren doesn't understand what she's trying to say, but then she gathers her courage, tries to act cute, and finally asks him if he would like to go out to dinner with her. Oren, being the kind-hearted guy he is, simply cannot bring himself to refuse. Even though he hesitates, he eventually agrees to go to dinner with Sophia. The two of them begin walking together, but as they move forward, something catches Oren's attention. He notices a strange crest embroidered on Sophia's clothing. At first, he can't quite place it, but after a moment, it hits him. He has seen that symbol before. That crest belongs to one of the most famous and powerful guilds in the kingdom, Night Sky Silver Rabbit, and realizing this instantly makes the situation far more serious than he expected. Soon after, they arrive at a small local restaurant. That's where Sophia suddenly runs into her older sister, Selma. The moment Selma sees Sophia sitting with Oren, she completely misunderstands the situation and assumes Oren is her boyfriend. Selma immediately gets angry and scolds Sophia, telling her she's far too young to be involved with a man like this. Sophia tries to explain, but her words don't come out properly. Anji. While this is happening, Oren suddenly realizes that he actually knows Selma. Both of them graduated from the same guild academy, and they are both enchanters. In fact, Selma isn't just any enchanter. She's considered one of the greatest enchanters in the entire kingdom. She was even a member of an A-rank party. It was Selma who revolutionized the role system used by adventurer teams, introducing clear positions like attacker, defender, and supporter. Her support magic was so influential that it spread across the kingdom and even beyond. Ironically, it was after witnessing Selma's overwhelming support abilities that Oliver and the others decided to remove Orca. As Oren looks at Selma, he notices she's staring at him in a strangely intense way. At first, Selma still believes Oren and Sophia are lovers, but that misunderstanding is quickly cleared up. However, she now gets the impression that Oren has no romantic interest in Sophia at all. At that moment, Sophia steps forward and pleads with her sister, asking her not to scold the man who saved her life. This is when Selma finally learns the truth, that Sophia had entered the dungeon alone, and Oren was the one who rescued her. Realizing her mistake, Selma apologizes to Oren and all the tension fades away. The three begin talking casually, but Sophia is completely confused about how Oren and Selma know each other. Selma, on the other hand, is shocked to discover that Sophia has no idea who Oren really is. After all, Oren was a member of the famous Heroes Party. Hearing this, Sophia is stunned. Her attitude instantly changes, and she begins speaking to Oren with far more respect. She apologizes repeatedly, unable to believe that someone so legendary had been standing right in front of her the entire time. Oren quickly clarifies that he is no longer part of any party. The Heroes Party had already gone their separate ways, and he was expelled long ago. This revelation leaves Selma even more shocked. She can't believe that someone would willingly remove such a powerful enchanter from their team. Selma then asks him a simple question. "So that means you're free right now, aren't you?" Oren immediately assumes she's about to invite him back into the Silver Rabbit Guild. Without letting her finish, he declines right away, saying he has no intention of joining any party. Selma smiles and tells him he misunderstood. She explains that she's not asking him to join a team. Instead, she wants him to participate in a special teaching expedition as an instructor. His role would be to train and guide new students. She explains that in this mission, A-rank adventurers and above will act as mentors, leading beginners deep into the Southern Great Dungeon. Their goal is to reach the 65th floor within just 3 days. Hearing this, Oren is genuinely surprised. Normally, even high-ranking adventurers take 6 months to a full year to reach that depth. Selma admits that the mission is extremely difficult, but not impossible. The reason is a shortcut. On top of that, the clan's sponsors are heavily pressuring them to make this expedition happen. If it were just about money, the clan could have rejected the plan, which means there must be a much bigger objective behind it. After thinking it through, Orun quickly understands the real intention. If inexperienced students, who can't even defeat a floor boss on their own, are guided to lower floors safely, the clan's influence and strength would decrease dramatically. Selma is impressed. She hadn't expected Orun to grasp the entire strategy with such limited information. She realizes that he's far more intelligent than he appears. She then explains that every 10 floors, a powerful boss blocks further progress. New students simply don't have the experience to defeat such enemies alone. That's why the expedition needs an instructor strong enough to handle the floor bosses effortlessly. This way, the students only need to register at the floor crystal, gaining progress without direct combat. It's risky, but extremely effective. That's why Selma wants Orun to join. She gently grabs his hand and teasingly tells him that she wants to play with his little sword. Hearing this, Orun's heart races, and memories from his past resurface. The moment he was cast out of the hero's party simply because his support magic couldn't compare to Selma's. Snapping back to reality, Orun realizes something important. If he returns as an enchanter, he'll only regret it later. He slowly pulls his hand away and apologizes, saying he can't accept the offer. He has already chosen a different path. Just then, Sophia puts on an innocent expression and asks Orun to come along with her. Once again, Orun finds himself unable to say no. However, he clearly tells Selma one final thing. He has changed his path. He is now a swordsman. If he joins the expedition, it will be as a swordsman, not as an enchanter. Selma is slightly surprised, but decides it doesn't really matter. Deep down, she believes that if things get dangerous, Orun will naturally return to using support magic. She tells him to report to the Silver Rabbit headquarters early the next morning. That night, Orun visits an alchemist shop. The owner was about to close, but when he sees Orun, he refuses to shut the door. He welcomes Orun inside and even offers him a drink. Alpha, the old man already knows Orun well. He thanks him sincerely, saying that Orun's support helped his shop survive. When Orun became famous as part of the heroes' party, he even promoted the shop publicly. Hearing this makes Orun feel ashamed. He's no longer a hero, and his reputation is gone. For a moment, he feels empty, but the old man lifts his spirits. The next morning, Orun arrives at the Silver Rabbit headquarters, where he meets Vince, the guild's leader. They introduce themselves, though Vince already knows a great deal about Orun, his past with the heroes' party, and his talent as an enchanter. In fact, Vince has wanted Orun in his guild for a long time. As they talk, Vince asks if Orun is ready for tomorrow. Orun replies that he is, but he wants to understand more about the teaching expedition first. At that point, Selma steps in and begins explaining all the details. Selma explains the full plan in detail. The expedition's final destination is the 65th floor of the dungeon. Along the way, they'll be bringing multiple rookie parties, as well as several escort teams whose job is to protect and guide them. On day 1, the group plans to push as far as floor 21. By day 2, they aim to reach floor 36. From there, they must advance as quickly as possible. According to Selma, something extremely important awaits them on the 65th floor, something the guild desperately needs. On top of that, the guild's sponsors are applying intense pressure, forcing this mission to move forward no matter the risk. The scene briefly shifts to the past. We see Vince and Selma discussing Orun in private. Vince mentions that he already knows Orun was abandoned by the heroes' party. He can't understand why they would make such a decision, because Orun clearly lacks nothing in terms of ability. In fact, Vince believes that by losing Orun, the heroes' party has actually weakened itself. Selma agrees. She explains that Orun is an incredibly capable enchanter. While his enchantment speed is slightly slower than hers, his casting speed is nearly 4 times faster. Even more impressive, Orun can instinctively predict enemy movements before they attack. The story returns to the present. Orun now understands the mission's outline, but something doesn't sit right with him. The plan feels rushed and incomplete. There are gaps, dangerous ones. That's when Selma explains the team composition. They have 10 rookie parties, but only 5 escort teams. Hearing this, Orun is visibly surprised. Selma asks if everything is clear and invites him to ask questions. Orun immediately raises a concern. If they're taking such a massive risk, why are there so few escort teams? Escort parties consist of experienced veterans whose primary role is protection and guidance. Logically, there should be more of them. But neither Vince nor Selma gives him a proper answer. At that moment, Orun feels it clearly. There's a hidden danger in this expedition that no one is telling him about. Selma ends the conversation by telling Orun she'll see him tomorrow. Orun, slightly flustered, nods in response. The next morning arrives. Orun finally stands before the Southern Great Dungeon itself. The massive structure towers over everything around it. Numerous parties are already gathered, rookies, escorts, and even other well-known adventurers. As Orun looks around, he realizes just how many rookies have shown up, but when he glances to the side, he notices familiar faces. Selma and Sophia have already arrived. When Sophia sees Orun, her face brightens instantly. Orun notices something interesting. The outfits are different. Rookies wear one style of uniform, while escort teams wear another. Sophia's attire clearly marks her role. Without thinking too deeply, Orun compliments her outfit, saying it looks nice. The moment Selma hears this, she becomes irritated, assuming Orun is flirting with her younger sister. She sarcastically asks if Orun has always been surrounded by women. After all, the hero's party had many female members. She jokingly accuses him of developing romance plots with them. Orun quickly denies it. Later, it's revealed that Orun used to live in the same mansion as those party members, not out of romance, but convenience. Sophia then innocently asks Orun where he lives now. He replies that he currently stays near the Adventurers Guild. Selma immediately interrupts, suspiciously asking why Sophia wants to know. She teases her about trying to start a love story. Sophia panics and denies it repeatedly. Soon after, the group moves toward the rookies. Most of them look extremely nervous. This is their first real raid. Sophia returns to her own group, leaving Orun and Selma to meet the rest of the escort members. That's when they are introduced to Anthem the Defender, Bernard, another tank-type warrior, and Kathy, a healer. Together with Selma and Orun, they will act as the escort force responsible for keeping the rookie teams alive. Selma introduces Orun to the group, explaining that he serves as both an attacker and an enchanter. The escorts are immediately impressed. The story briefly shifts again to Selma's past. She speaks with Vince, who tells her that although they lost a powerful S-rank adventurer, they now have Orun. And if they utilize his abilities correctly, the Silver Rabbit Guild could rise back to the top. Back in the present, Selma feels tense. No matter what happens, she must work with Orun and reach at least the 51st floor. Even more concerning, Orun is operating as an attacker now, not as an enchanter. Selma calls Orun over and suggests they meet the rookies together. They approach the new students, and Selma begins speaking to them gently. She can tell they're terrified. To reassure them, she introduces Orun. She tells them that Orun has already reached floor 94 in the past and knows the Great Dungeon better than almost anyone. The rookies are stunned. Reaching that depth is no small achievement. Their fear slowly turns into hope. If Orun is with them, maybe they really can make it through. Selma then reveals another truth, that Orun was once a member of the legendary Heroes Party. The reaction is immediate. The rookies are speechless. The Heroes Party is considered the strongest group in history, and standing before one of its former members fills them with awe. Orun quietly tells Selma that she might be oversharing. Selma laughs it off, saying the rookies look far more motivated now. And she's right. Word spreads quickly. Everyone present now knows who Orun is. Respect follows naturally, and his presence alone boosts morale. Selma tells Orun it's time to return to their assigned roles. Orun agrees and heads toward the group he's assigned to escort. It's Group 10. Unlike the others, this group has only 3 members, while most other teams have 4. And with that, Orun's role in the expedition truly begins. Orun suddenly points out something important. He says it looks like someone from their party hasn't arrived yet. Before anyone can react, a boy named Logan confidently steps forward and shuts that idea down immediately. He says there's no mistake at all. According to him, their group is the strongest among all the rookie teams, which is exactly why they only need 3 members. No extras, no deadweight. The moment Logan opens his mouth, his personality becomes obvious. His arrogance is sky high. Every word, every expression screams overconfidence. Seeing this, Orun calmly suggests that they begin with introductions. He asks Logan to go first. Logan walks forward proudly and introduces himself. He declares that his name is Logan, and not only is he a member of Group 10, but he's also the leader. He brags about possessing extremely powerful core abilities and proudly announces that he's an enchanter. Then, without hesitation, he claims that one day in the future, he'll surpass even Selma herself. Next, Oren turns his attention to the second member. Her name is Carolyn, and she introduces herself as a defender. But Oren immediately notices something odd. He asks her how she can call herself a defender when she isn't carrying a shield. Carolyn casually replies that she doesn't use one at all. Instead, she relies purely on evasion. Oren pauses and asks if that means she's a dodge-type defender. She confirms it confidently. Oren warns her that without real combat experience, this fighting style is extremely dangerous. Hearing this, Carolyn visibly tenses for a moment. But despite her fear, both she and Logan are overflowing with pride. They don't take Oren's concerns seriously at all. At that point, Sophia steps in and introduces herself. She says her name is Sophia, and her role is both attacker and caster. But things immediately take a turn. Logan and Carolyn suddenly begin arguing with each other, both claiming that they should be recognized as the true leader of Group 10. Their voices rise and the tension grows awkward. Watching all this unfold, Oren sighs internally. He realizes this raid is not going to be easy. Soon after, the group finally begins moving deeper into the dungeon. As they walk, Carolyn looks at Oren and asks him a blunt question. She mentions that he used to be a member of the Heroes Party and asks why someone like him would join the Silver Rabbit expedition. She even suggests that people like him usually see rookies as enemies. Oren calmly corrects her. He tells her she didn't hear it properly. He was a member of the Heroes Party, but not anymore. He left. Carolyn is surprised and comments that this is shocking news. She casually adds that Sophia has said a lot of good things about him. Before Oren can respond, Sophia quickly jumps in and explains why. She says it's because Oren once saved her life. Carolyn immediately smirks and teases Sophia, asking if that means she likes Oren. Sophia panics and denies it instantly, but her face turns bright red, completely giving her away. With that awkward moment behind them, the group continues deeper into the dungeon. Suddenly, several wolf-type monsters begin approaching them from behind. But before anyone can even react, Oren's trap magic activates. In less than 2 seconds, the monsters are completely wiped out. The reason is simple. Oren had already placed the trap in advance. He believes that pointless battles inside the dungeon are nothing but a waste of time, especially when their deadline to reach the 51st floor is extremely tight. As time passes, the group steadily advances and eventually reaches floor 20. By now, Oren has fully evaluated the abilities of his teammates. He realizes that Logan genuinely has impressive enchantment skills. Not only that, Logan performs surprisingly well during combat. In fact, Oren believes Logan could easily qualify for an A-rank party right now. However, Logan has one major weakness. He's terrible at leading others. Despite that flaw, Oren still acknowledges him as a highly talented enchanter. Next, Oren analyzes Carolyn. She truly is a capable defender, but her fighting style has serious drawbacks. She relies almost entirely on speed and dodging, using only daggers. As a defender, she really should be using a shield, but she refuses to. Finally, Oren observes Sophia. At the moment, she's clearly weaker than both Logan and Carolyn. However, Oren can see her potential. With time and experience, she has the ability to become incredibly strong. Meanwhile, the rest of the expedition teams also make progress, and everyone eventually reaches floor 20. Selma orders the rookies to move quickly to the magic crystal and register for access to the 21st floor. The rookies follow her instructions and complete the registration. With that, the day finally comes to an end. They've successfully completed their objective for the day, gaining access to the 21st floor. Later, Selma and Oren talk privately. Oren admits that Selma was right. Group 10 has a lot of potential. However, he also confesses that he's worried about Carolyn. The next morning arrives. Oren is clearly in a bad mood. Overnight, news articles have spread everywhere. The truth is now public. Oren was banished from the Heroes Party. Everyone knows. The anger burns inside him, but there's nothing he can do about it. He heads out to continue his work. Suddenly, he hears someone calling his name. He turns around and there she is. Running toward him is Luna, his childhood friend and a current member of the Heroes Party. In the past, Luna and Oren were extremely close. She always looked after him, even during their time in the Heroes Party. Luna begs him to come back. She asks him to return to the Heroes Party. But Orin knows it's impossible. In his heart, he apologizes to her. The day Orin was banished, Luna wasn't even there. If she had been, she might have fought for him. At least a little. Luna reminds him of the promise they once made together. She says they had all sworn to conquer the Great Dungeon side by side. Hearing this, Orin finally snaps. He says he remembers everything. That promise was made by 3 people, himself, Luna, and Oliver. But Oliver was the one who personally threw him out of the team. Because of that, there's no path left for him to return. As Orin speaks, memories of the past flood his mind. The 3 of them truly were close friends once. But now, Orin can do nothing except move forward alone,